Hey guys, welcome back. I have another book review for you today. It's going to be the second one of 2021. And I was really hoping that 2021 would be a year that I got like all 4 and 5 star reads, and I was really just hoping that it worked out well. But I'm here to tell you that it didn't. So this book, I am going to give 2 stars, and that's pretty low for me. I don't like to rate books very low. I usually will just stop reading them. But I felt like I was on a time crunch, and I had it here with me, and I needed to read it, so I read it. Anyway, this book is The 1517 to Paris, and it is by, there are 4 people, so 2 seconds, Anthony Sadler, Alex Skarlatos, Spencer Stone, and Jeffrey Stern. That's a lot of names. So, this book, the premise sounds so exciting. It is these 3 American guys. One is in the Oregon National Guard, one is in the Air Force, and one is just a good old American boy. And they are on a Euro trip. They hop on the train, the 1517 to Paris from Amsterdam, which means that train left at 3:17 p.m. And they stop a terrorist attack. The 3 of them stop this terrorist attack, and this is supposed to be the story of that. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? This is also a movie that Clint Eastwood directed, and these 3 guys here. So we have Alec, Spencer, and Anthony here on the cover. So they actually played themselves in the movie. And that's really all I have to say about that. I didn't watch the movie because I hated the book. So I'll go ahead and say for these guys, they're not writers. They all have other interests and lives. And I'll also tell you some fun facts that I found out about them because I stalked them on Instagram. Anyway, let me talk about the book first, though. Okay, so we kind of start out at the terrorist attack, and you're like, okay, cool, so I guess we're going to see something else. Then we go to Spencer, and we're just sort of talking about Spencer. We're walking through Spencer's entire childhood, and then Spencer's time in the Air Force, and then Spencer starts to go on the trip, but oddly at random places there's flashbacks to this terrorist attack, but not long flashbacks, just half a page or something. And then we get some information about the terrorist himself, and then we go to part 2, which is Alec's part. And for me, Alec is my least favorite person to be in his head, but also my least favorite person of this little trio, and I find that to be frustrating. Wow, you can't see this at all, can you? Anyway, I find that to be frustrating and also stressful because these are real people. Anyway, so we just kind of go through Alec's time in Afghanistan, which is where he is, and then his part of the trip. And then we get another little bit about the terrorists, and then we go to Anthony, and Anthony, we're in the aftermath of the attack. So each one has little flashbacks, tell you about the attack. Anthony's does as well, but for the most part, we're in different parts of their lives. Here's the thing, it's mostly just a biography of people that you don't know. It's strange. And the parts are not completely cohesive. But I thought Spencer was kind of just a guy who seemed a little bit lost. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do with himself. He failed out of the special forces unit that he wanted to be in, so he ended up doing EMT training, which would come in to help him later. And these guys have all been friends, Spencer and Anthony Spencer and Alex since they were children, and then Anthony came in middle school. And in Spencer's part, Spencer seems like an alright guy. He seems fine. But then you get to Alex's part. And Alex's part, for the very beginning, started to bother me. So he is in Afghanistan, and they are doing sniper, training. He's not a sniper. They're not on a mission. He's trying to learn how to be a sniper. And he's, got the sights on this tank, and basically there's 2 of them. So one guy will shoot the, engine of the tank. It's this old, abandoned Soviet tank in Afghanistan. This is not, a working thing. And then he'll shoot through the little slit, meaning to take out the driver, and his round will go through and explode and hit anyone on the other side. So he's waiting, and then 3 children walk up and start playing beside the tank. That is when Alec radios in to ask for permission to shoot. And he's saying in his head I know that I'm going to kill at least one of those children. And at the very last minute their headquarters is no, we see children, don't shoot. But he was perfectly alright with that. Which later brings us to him being on the train. When he was on the train, both Spencer and Anthony's part mentioned this. So Spencer had the terrorist in a headlock, but it wasn't enough to knock him out yet. So Alec is I'll just shoot him. So he's going to shoot this terrorist in the head. And Spencer knows that when this terrorist gets shot, it's going to shoot him in the neck. So in Spencer's part, Spencer knows that he is going to die. And that his best friend will be the one that kills him. The gun doesn't fire. So that saves him. But then later, in Anthony's part, Anthony also notices that if Alex shoots this man, he is going to kill Spencer. Alec glosses over this. He doesn't even mention it in his part. So I'm like, there is something wrong with this man. And then, you know, we go to Anthony's part, and Anthony's part is, like, really interesting to me because it's the aftermath of the entire thing. It's like when they're going on TV shows, when they're doing, like, press circuits, and how they're kind of dealing later in this big parade in Sacramento for, like, Sacramento Heroes for September 11th. So I really thought that it ended up being interesting, like, which is why I gave it 2 stars. It's kind of interesting, but the characters are, like, slightly unlikable. They're kids at this point. They're, like, 22-year-old guys, and how much do you really enjoy being in a 22-year-old guy's head? Not a lot. Especially for a book where they're kind of, I think, glossing over a little bit, like, especially their Euro trip part. I'm sure that they're glossing over a little bit because they don't want to say anything too bad while they're, you know, writing a book about being American heroes. But, I mean, it just wasn't. The book didn't feel cohesive. All the parts were very different. Like I said, we dealt a lot with, like, Spencer's childhood and everything, but then in Alex we're getting, like, flashbacks to, like, his great-grandfather or something. And then in Anthony's, it's more just, like, in the present. He feels much more present. I actually enjoyed reading Anthony's part the best. So, with that being said, this book is 230 pages. I am a fast reader. When I tell you that it took me 3 days to get through this book, like, I'm not even kidding. It's just not written super well. Whoever, I assume this last guy, Mr. Stern, was, like, their ghostwriter, or he was, like, the editor of it, but it didn't edit it cohesively. I didn't like how it jumped around. I didn't like how you were just, like, randomly talking about the terrorists and stuff. Like, it felt so disjointed. It was so very frustrating to me. So these guys, the trial for this terrorist, I think, was last year in 2020. And they all went to Paris together. But I went ahead and looked them up because, like, of course, they're 28-year-old men. Of course, they're going to be on social media. So I looked them up. It looks to me like Spencer is pretty normal. I think he posted some pictures with a dog, some throwbacks to, like, the Air Force and stuff like that. Cool. Alec is, like, a wannabe politician. Like, he has ran for things but never been elected. So, sorry, maybe because you wrote in a book. Maybe because you and your friends wrote a book and you wrote that you were going to kill children and also your friend. Like, sorry. And then Anthony also seems like a pretty nice, normal guy. All of their bios say author, and I'm like, okay. But that's fine. Actor as well, so, like, whatever. Like I said, I didn't watch the movie. But, yeah, I just didn't like this. I don't recommend this book. I hate to say that. I really do, because I think that what they did is important. I think that it's really brave. I think that it's really fearless. And I think that it is something that not a lot of people would have done, to just jump on a terrorist on a train and, you know, try to save everyone. But at the same time, I just think that there would have been a better way to tell this. I think that it could have been done differently. I don't recommend this. I didn't enjoy it. I bought it for $3.97 at Books A Million, and I'm going to donate it back to McKay's next time I go, because I think that this was not good. Like I said, I don't like to read books that I don't like, and I definitely don't like to say that I don't like a book, especially because, I mean, like, these guys are not authors, but I feel like there should have been someone there that was like, we'll make this a good book, and that just didn't seem to happen. I hate that. I hate that I have to say that. I hate that for them, because I think it's an interesting story, but that's what I have for you. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was bad. And I really hate that we're starting off, like, the first month of 2021 with me having to say that about a book. But, yep, there we are. Actually, I said earlier this is the second review. This is the third. The first 2 books I ranked very highly. So, yeah. But that's really all that I have about this. I don't want to talk about this book ever again. I don't ever even want to look at it again. So, there's that. That's all I have for you guys this week. And I will have something for you next week. I'm hoping it's a book that I like better, but I hope that you guys have a good week. Bye.